5:10, as I call this meeting to order. Roll call, please, Bill.
Jeffrey Chris.
Here.
Susan Walski.
Here.
Linda Muller.
Here.
Mark Green. Here. Dr. Vincent Odock.
Here.
5 of 7 members. Also myself, Bill Garavanti, Kelly Riley, Marty Barras, Billy Iverson here as staff, and Mr. Dave Birmingham, our bond counsel, and Brian Sandage from Anshin.
Very good. And I might just note, we didn't ask our counsel to be on the Zoom today, Susan Walski, due to
Cat's
the...
off.
Cat's off, I'm sorry. I'm looking at you. And it didn't seem like we needed her, and she had a little bit of a family positive issue, so.
Correct.
Looking at proof of notice, that's provided on page 2 that this meeting was duly noticed for tonight of the IDA. And with that, I would move on to the approval of the minutes for our September 18th, 2024 meeting. And those were sent to the board last week. Any additions, corrections?
I'll make a
Comments?
motion to accept the minutes.
Motion by Linda to accept these minutes. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Susan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. 5 in favor, nobody against. And with that, I'll move on to my chairman's report. And I'd like to start off with a very positive note, and it's stealing item number 1 from your president's report, Bill, but Kelly Riley will be here 15 years in 3 days from now, the 19th of October, so.
Doesn't look possible, but it is true.
She started right out of high school.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kelly, we really appreciate it. Bill has a little,
It's a tough environment, we can't give you a gold watch, but thank you so much.
And also, I wanted to mention, I attended a Port Jervis meeting with Bill, that's in his report, concerning the brownfield possibilities of the EPA grant we are approved for. Would be an exciting opportunity to take a brownfield site and make it
There's
worthy
quite
of
a few down there too.
good
Yes.
use, yes. I had my notes right here, sorry about that. I didn't think I needed them, but I wanted to refer back. I attended the, I still need to find them here. I attended the partnership breakfast the other morning, which was nicely done. Very good attendance, talking about various projects. And Bill might have a little more to say about that. And I also attended the Orange County Economic Development Conference. I think you were there,
Yeah.
Susan. And Bill was there. It was on workforce development and some interesting initiatives there.
Absolutely.
So I found it a very worthwhile and neat opportunity to learn about some opportunities there. And particularly a theme was looking at the specialized technology engineer type jobs that don't necessarily require a college degree, but they're really equal to a career track with a college degree. So it gives people an opportunity often to work and get their education paid for to some degree, or in some cases completely, while they're working and training. And in some cases, they're required to train in the field they're working with, and in some cases, it's even more wide open. So that was an important conference that I'm glad you two could attend.
Yeah, thank you both for being there.
You're welcome. That concludes my report. I'll hand it off to Bill on his CEO report. Bill.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, everything is in my report. The only thing I'll underscore is the website. We're moving really well with the website. A lot of thanks to the staff, all the work they had to do to get that ready. We've only got a couple of things. We're going to change some pictures on there, a few last minute edits, and I think we're ready to launch this month. So,
Nice.
At next meeting, depending upon what our workload is, what the size of the agenda, I'd love to give you a little run through. Otherwise, we'll find another way to do that. Give you a little test drive, but I'm excited to show it to you.
Mhm.
So we're wrapping that up. That's all I have tonight.
Any questions on Bill's report?
Excuse me.
There's quite a list of meetings and various presentations and so forth you did, so thank you for that, Bill.
Thank you.
That brings us to committee reports, and tonight we have Finance Committee. Mark Green, please.
Yes, so, real quickly, going through, the budget versus actuals, there were a few things that came out. If you notice in September, actuals, one of the things that jumped out was that there's a pass-through of $1,000 legal fee. So that hits the revenue side, but it also is the expense side, which we'll get to down below. You can see that interest earnings of almost $65,000. Other than that, if you go down to expenses, you'll see that IT support and audiovisual was substantially higher. That was the third payment for our website, so that is completely paid off now. Also, if you go down a little bit further, you'll see legal counsel is up, and that is because of the Fast New York applications that we've done. And so those were really, and then finally the memberships and events was up, and that's because we double paid for the innovation, so we're getting refunded for half of that back. That really were the only things that jumped out as far as on the budget side of things. So as far as other expenses, everything was in line. Our CDs, there's really nothing to discuss there. We have, 9.3 million in CDs. And then, before I get into the budget, we should probably approve these.
Yes. The committee recommended approval of the September 2024 financials as well as the September, October payables. Any questions from the rest of the board on those? And I'm happy to entertain a motion to approve those financial documents. Doc? Oh, good, thank you. Doc makes a motion to approve those. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that
Susan,
motion.
thank you. We have a first and a second for financials and payables. If there's no other questions, I'll call the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That motion is carried. And yes, let's move on to the budget. Thank you, Mark.
So if you look at your multicolored sheet, it says draft 3 in the upper left corner. Going through, if we look at up top closing fees, those are actually in the pipeline, so we're very excited about that number, and we hope that those come to fruition, but those are actual in pipeline right now. The next interest and earnings, you can see a dramatic difference there. Part of that is because we will have less money invested in CDs because of the shovel-ready program, combined with the fact that interest rates are coming down. So that's why those numbers continue to drop. The shovel-ready reimbursement of $700,000, we will talk about a little bit, but that basically is just, we have to front the money for Fast New York, and then we will get reimbursed for that after the deals go through. So that really is just a pass-through amount of money. Going through expenses, really the salaries, all of that are right in line until you get to the shovel-ready program. The shovel-ready program, you can see, is at 1.85 million. 1 million of that.
Yes.
1 million of that is for a request for a proposed study, which, will be coming to vote in the next meeting or two. The other monies there are for the Fast New York and a few other smaller.
One other small investment.
Smaller possibility. There is an asterisk there because that 1 million is dependent on approval by the board for that study. So note that that might be 850,000 versus 1.85. Other than that, all the rest of these expenses are relatively in line. If you get to the bottom, you'll see a quote-unquote net loss of 773,869. You should then take that number though and back in roughly 1.15 of shovel-ready expenses, which we've all agreed as a board that we were going to start drawing down and putting into the community. And and if you add another 225,000, which is the cost of oversight, those two expenses come up to just about 1.4 million. So if you added those back in, we actually would have a profitability of roughly $700,000 to $800,000. Does that make sense to everyone?
I have one question here.
Yeah.
Jumping around, I guess, a little bit. You have the Shovel Ready program, which you said also includes the Fast New York in there.
Does.
Is that guaranteed by the state, that program, to go through 2028?
To go through 2028?
Yeah, if you have it, as part of your 5-year budget or 4-year budget here?
Yes, yes. That
Okay,
is-
that's why I just want to make sure we're
correct.
budgeting and
That
that
is
the
still
program's
Fast New
going to
York
still be there.
expenditures, yes.
Okay.
It's until the project's done. So, which means for Aidenbrook, for example, it was a $900,000 budget. So when that's all spent and the work is done, it's completed to be done, then we get the reimbursement.
Okay.
Any other questions about the budget?
I might just point out, we had a draft budget set document at our last meeting, and Bill has spent considerable more time. I assume staff has been involved in
Of
that.
course.
So thank you for bringing it to this level.
Sure.
But it's, in my mind, well thought out. I know there's been some individual calls with questions that have been
No,
examined too.
Budgets are massive to do. I give you guys a lot of credit for doing this.
Thank you.
And we're required to do the one for next year as well as the 3 years subsequent and approve them by the end of this month.
Yeah,
So
those are all required by ABO to be in Paris.
this is kind of our
October
deadline.
30th, I think that has
Yeah.
to be posted.
Love-hate relationship with Paris.
Yes, for sure. I don't know how
If,
much love there is, but yeah.
did you want to add anything
That's
to
it,
this,
thank you.
Bill? If anybody would care to make a motion adopting this budget, I would suggest that if you're ready.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Linda Muller for the budget. Anybody care to make a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Susan. Other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0.
Very good, thank you all.
And that completes our regular agenda. We do have one other thing to discuss, Bill. Does anyone have anything else for tonight's agenda at the public portion of our meeting?
For the public portion, I'd like to call attention to the Times Union article that we received. And I'd like to read for the record, the last statement that was done by quoting from Senator Skoufis: "It is no coincidence that since the monitor's appointment earlier this year, we've seen no unwarranted tax breaks thrust onto our community," Skoufis said. "Trust oversight works. It's the monitor's presence in deterring bad actors from applying for sham deals, keeping our taxpayers from getting ripped off, and cleaning up the IDA's poor practices in the process." I, for one, as a board member, find this to be a little disconcerting. As I have sat at this table, I have seen nothing but the utmost integrity by this board and by its staff, and it has nothing, with all due respect, to having a monitor sitting here. I think this is common practice. This is who we are as a board and how we represent our community. So, we are not bad actors. For the record, I want that to be noted. I find that to be a problem.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Couldn't agree more.
Thank you, Linda. Bill, can you set us up for executive session?
Before
Oh,
we go
I'm
to
sorry.
I have some questions on that. You stole some of my thunder, Linda, but.
Well,
but
you know,
were
great
much
minds
more-
work in small
But you were
circles.
much more eloquent than myself. Since you're here, sir, and since the newspaper said that there were over 20 things that had to be addressed, were any of the things that you put on your list illegal?
No, they weren't in violation of the law, and that's stated in the report.
But it didn't happen to hit the newspaper, apparently. I noticed some of these things, update, one of your recommendations, because that was in the paper, all these recommendations that you're asking us to do. Update the website to clearly separate activity, expired price. Are we updating the website right now?
You're in the process of doing it.
Okay, so it seems like a fluff recommendation, thank you. Let's see, should continue to uphold ethical standards. So one of your recommendations that is being cited as something we need to work on is to continue to keep our ethical standards high.
Did you read the whole report? It was 150 pages. I think you're looking at a newspaper article.
No, I'm looking at your recommendations, sir. And some of these seem rather interesting in that they're being quoted as things that we need to work on, but yet you're saying that we need to continue to maintain our ethical standards. Okay, interesting. Thank you for that recommendation. We'll continue to work on our ethics. So it just seems like none of these, we're not doing anything wrong legally, and that these recommendations are your opinion of what best practices should be. Is that correct?
No, that's not. I didn't say there's a difference between doing something illegal and something not following the regulations. So some of the things like notifying when pilots are expiring, there's certain requirements that you are doing. We had worked with Bill and the staff to get those rolled out. They're not fully implemented, but they go through it and it's all spelled out. And that was the reason why the report was circulated for a week before it went to the government. If you had any comments or if you had any, it would have been included in it. But those are what we believe are the best practices for IDAs in New York State, absolutely.
Your belief. But
Yes,
But nothing in here is anything that we are legally doing wrong.
you're not doing anything illegal.
Okay? Thank you.
Anything else before we move to our next topic?
I just need 2 minutes for the attorney to join us.
Okay.
He's gonna come on at 5:30. It's
And-
5:28 right now.
We'll need to make a motion
We do.
to go into executive session. I would just say, we don't expect any further public part of this meeting, but we will come out of executive session publicly to formally close the meeting. Is that correct, Bill?
Yes, absolutely.
So no decisions will be made after.
We don't expect them to be, great. And can we go into executive session and just wait for the
We can.
attorney?
I think we can
Would
at that
that
point.
make sense?
Sure.
Um,
Can we
so-
send staff home, you think, at that time?
Yes, definitely.
Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you so much, Dan.
We'll check to,
We'll do that.
Okay.
That sounds great.
Thanks, guys. Be well. Bye-bye. Thank you.
And we'll need a motion to go into
We
executive
will,
session, right?
absolutely.
And the wording of that motion,
It is, we're going to executive session to discuss litigation.
mhm,
That's really all it takes.
So I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss potential litigation.
correct.
That's my motion.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion? By Doc, thank you.
I think the motion needs to say that her motion is to close
Oh,
the
yeah,
board meeting
correct.
and to move to executive session.
Well, no, we can't close the board meeting.
You're stepping out of the board meeting, so you can.
We're having a
reopen it.
recess. I think we still have to, after
I think we
executive
typically
session.
adjourn after executive session, at least that's how we've been guided.
Okay.
Could be something we
I
verify.
rescind my recommendation.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. We're moving into executive session.
You are live.
Welcome back, everybody, to the public portion of our meeting. We had a motion to come out of executive session by Linda Muller, a second by Susan Walski, and that motion was passed. We're now in public session. We have no other business to take care of in the public portion of our meeting, so I would suggest a motion to adjourn our IDA meeting for tonight, October 16th. Motion by Mark, second, Susan.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Meeting adjourned. Thank you
Okay.
all for